Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here, and today I'm trying something a little bit different. And the reason it's different from what most other people do is because Warhammer Plus is probably going to copyright claim this video no matter how little of it I show. Basically, on Warhammer Plus they have a new battle report series. I'm going to I don't know, comment on, I'm not quite sure, to the Kill Team battle report that they showed on there. To be clear, if you just want to watch their battle report, this is not the video for you. Their battle report is a little bit over an hour long. Hopefully, you'll see that I have cut this down to like 15, 20 minutes. Basically, whenever something happens, I'm going to comment on it. I'm going to say, oh, that's interesting. Why have they done that? Blah, blah, blah. The things that we know about this are that they had the lead designer, who we know from White Dwarf, a guy called Elliot. He was on set, off camera, but on set to make sure that they played the rules correctly. So anything in this video should be correct. And one of the things that was brought up was the way Torrent works. I hope that when we get to that, I'll explain it and explain, oh, that's not quite what we thought. And otherwise, I'm just gonna comment on it as I go, and hope that it stays up for more than 5 minutes before copyright claim gets it. All right, let's do it. I hope that you guys can still watch it after that, though.
The Ictarian War is a desperate conflict. This is going to be one hell of a scrap. Welcome to Battle Report.
Hi, I'm Patrick.
And I'm Nick.
And welcome.
So, okay, super interesting. So this is the first time I've watched it. I haven't watched this yet. I've only heard other people talking about it. Obviously, as a content creator, I watch quite a lot of other content creators on YouTube because I really want to see what they're doing, what's good, what's bad, what seems to be getting clicks, etc., etc. So far, the way this has been done is identical to tabletop tactics. Like, I don't know, I think tabletop tactics has been doing the current format longer than Battle Report from Warhammer Plus has been out, but it's identical. You have the little shots of what's coming up during the show, so you know the things you're looking forward to. Then after you've done a little bit of that and you've set the scene, you have your little narrative hook, and this is identical. I just want to quickly say, Nick Baton. I think a lot of people know him. I think for briefly was on the Warhammer painting channel. He's done a few videos on there. As a non-hobbyist myself, I don't know him. He was at Warhammer World, but I didn't play him and I didn't speak to him. But seems a nice guy. Patrick, interestingly, so obviously Patrick lives on in infamy, I suppose, the infamous Patrick, because he, of course, did the Kill Team How to Play videos, which were super short, like 3-5 minutes each. And he came across as a little bit smiley, a little bit wooden, but I actually, and he got a bit of flack for that, possibly rightly so, you know. I actually ran into him at the LGT, whilst everybody was up there playing Kill Team, and I had nothing to do because everybody knew the rules. Somehow, a month after it came out, I was walking around, and he was walking. He was downstairs playing the 40k tournament. And I just ran across him. I said, "Oh, hi, good job, blah blah blah." Just being generally friendly. He seemed like a really nice guy, actually. So I take back anything negative I've ever said or thought about him. He seems like a really cool, genuine guy. So there you go. That's Nick and Patrick playing Commanders and Krieg. Let's do it. Also, it's good to note, I saw it there. You probably didn't see it because I'd have fast forwarded through it. It's good to see that the heavy metal painters have just as much trouble centering a barrel hole as everybody else.
This Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team Battle Report. We're going to be playing Control the Kill Zone from the open play missions.
In this mission, there are 4...
Okay, I'm going to stop it here. They're playing the open play mission. I've never read the open play mission. Obviously, they've just described it there, but why would you play the open play mission? Like, it's such an odd choice. It seems like the worst option to me. You could have had the more balanced missions for match play, which you don't have to kind of play those as this is a hyper competitive game. It can just be, hey, we're playing the match play because we want to give you guys a balanced game. Or they could have done the narrative missions where it's like, oh, these are the narratives. But they went with open play, which I have never even bothered to read because it just always seemed like such a nothing format to me. So really odd for them to do it here. And I know that you might say, oh, but it's just a one-off battle report. And maybe it is a one-off battle report, but then surely go with the match play. But if it's part of a series, then surely you want to get to know not just the presenters, but the models, and you want them to be having a narrative so you can check up on them. So anyway, just really odd they went with open play. I don't even know what the mission is.
My commando kill team is my commando knob. Here he's got a power claw and a slugger. And I can't wait for the commando grot to blow something up. And I really can't wait to see what that bomb squig does up close and personal.
So just interesting that he's gone with 3 commando boys. I don't know what the format of this is. I don't know if it's just genuinely the 2 of them are like, let's play a game, or if there's some behind the scenes, hey, you should pick this and this, or if there's some sort of other logistical issues. But just interesting to see he's gone 3 commando boys. I do recall that when he was at Warhammer World Tournament, he plays quite well. Like, he seems to be a good player. So
Does not get cooler than that. The only thing I need to make sure is that I don't end up like that poor trooper burnt alive in the trailer. And troopers to hold the line.
So for my tac op,
So with the Krieg there, okay, I'm just gonna say it. He's decided to take the bolt pistol instead of the plasma pistol. You would never do that. I have to assume there is something behind the scenes, like they literally don't have the model painted up by the heavy metal crew, because there's no reason you take that. Fine, minor nitpick. Everything else I'm okay with. I think the grenade launcher is solid, plasma gun's solid. He's gone 3 troopers. I assume he's then done for the ancillary support, he's going to go with the weapons. Again, is that because they don't have the models, or does he actually prefer that? Who knows?
here I've taken 2 of the faction
Points from the mission objectives, I score 2 victory points.
Okay, so interesting there. For the ancillary support, he didn't pick anything with indirect, which I probably would have against commandos. The fact that they can charge out of conceal probably means they're going to be concealed more often than not. And just generally having indirect is pretty good. They haven't mentioned any equipment put onto them yet. Maybe he's going to spam grenades. Who knows? Spam grenades, take 3. It's hardly spam. The other interesting thing is this must be an open play rule that I'm not familiar with, but they've only taken 2 tac ops. I don't know. Let's keep going. Maybe they clarify it later.
to make sure they're as far forward as possible.
Okay, just a quick one here. So obviously he has painted his combat gauges because he's painted the symbols with the correct colors. But then he decided to paint the rest of it grey. I remember there was one time it was shown on like the Warhammer, the Twitch Warhammer TV thing, where they're like, "Oh, look at this amazing Grey Knight army," and they told you like all the breakdown of the steps, and basically they'd sprayed them. They took Grey Knights, sprayed them grey, and they did like 5, 6 steps to get them to like finish, and they just looked like they were off the sprue. But they put so much effort into it, but they just look grey. Anyway, let's keep going.
Just about all of my orcs here have got... Okay, so we're just about ready to start the game, but before we do, should we go through the terrain that's on the board?
Yeah.
Okay, so just again, content creators site here. They have a nice little layout, so so that you can see whose turn it is, current points, CP, VP, etc. So that's quite nice. But also they're skipping certain parts. So they have skipped already the barricades placement, which some argue is a relatively tactical part of the game. But tactical, yes, also kind of boring. Unless you're trying to get like super deep into the tactics of the game, yeah, there's not really, it's kind of irrelevant. So let's keep going.
And the objectives.
Start with the objectives, nice and easy. We've got.
So just going to stop it here so that you can see the terrain. Because of probably the way I'm editing this, you can't hear what they're saying. Like I said, this isn't really. I'm not trying to let you like watch the battle report because it's a really long battle report. But they have 3 large pieces of heavy terrain, which is interesting. They both have a vantage point in their deployment zone, and then they just have a large heavy piece in the middle, which definitely is lopsided, so favors one side, but everything else is relatively central. Just looking at it now, who are they? Are they so the orcs, the commandos, look like they're going to have a bit of a rough time because they've got a very open space. Obviously, they had their barricades set up so that they can hide behind them in their deployment zone. Sorry, not their barricades. The barricades, the light cover that is already on the board, giving them a way to deploy. But apart from that, I think it's going to be a very obvious game in the sense that there's kind of only one thing they can all do at this point, which is a little bit of a shame because I think one of the really good things about Kill Team is that there's so many tactical choices you can make, but it relies heavily on there being enough terrain for you to be able to make those choices. So to have such an open board, it's like, oh, I already know what they're all going to do. Turn 1. Like I can basically skip turn 1, which is a little bit of a shame. But whatever, it's fine, no big deal.
So let's go into this first strategy phase, which is next. And the first thing we do is generate a command point.
Okay, so in this they've skipped the scouting phase. Man, I need to go and read the open play rules. Is this part of open play, or are they just streamlining the game? I don't know, but fair enough. Okay, all right, it's fine. It's a shame because I think that they're skipping a few parts of the game. Like in the editing, I'm sure they did them, but I feel like they're editing over some of the tactical nous that Kill Team can provide. And like if they were going for a really tight, like 15, 20-minute battle report, fair enough. Like, okay, you've got to cut. You got to be really selective about what you keep in. But it's over an hour. They could spend 30 seconds on these things, I feel. That's all.
Okay. We had 2 to start with.
Objective. And then I am going to secure that objective, score a victory point.
Fair play, absolutely. So that is 1-0 to you.
And now he's finished.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so again, I'm just looking at the way they're producing the video. I thought they were going to do everything the way they just did their pre-game dash and pre-game move there. So they'd super fast speed through the movement kind of thing, and then have the player talking over the top. And I was like, oh, actually, that's pretty cool. But they're not doing that. And that explains why this is an hour-long battle report. I mean, fair enough. It's really hard to figure out how you should do it in a game where you have complete alternating activations. Because if you just skip every single movement, there's not really a huge amount of game left to do. So, fair enough.
So I'm going to flip this over to the grey side so he's activated.
Cool. Good work.
Okay, so they just had their first exchange of the game. Obviously, kind of Patrick there moved an enemy. Again, I don't know how much of this is genuine game and how much of this is you need to make the game interesting, right? And then how much of that is behind the scenes, hey, make that move, and how much of it is the players knowing they need to make it a game. Because when you're doing a battle report, sometimes you have to do things that aren't optimal to make it exciting. So who knows? But either way, he decided to move his model to within engagement, within charging range. just out in the open, within charge. So that he went for it. He got charged. Uh, then he rolls 2 1s and a 2. I was like, oh no. But then shows his raw. Honestly, Feel No Pain is so strong. Like it always changes everything. Feel No Pain is really good. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, he lives on 1 wound. Cool. So again, I assume that I'm cutting out everything they're saying. Maybe I'm not. Who knows? But wow, he rolled terribly. That was really bad. Um, yeah. So it turns out that actually his decision to move up his veteran, is it the hardened veteran? Yeah, the hardened veteran with the Feel No Pain turn 1 to get off that airstrike was actually a really solid move. The fact that he didn't die is kind of lucky, but yeah, like if you can make that trade of getting a shot off on 4 models for one guy, you do that every time. So actually, I take it all back. That was a solid decision. Unfortunately, he rolled terribly, so only did like 4 damage to 1 model when he hit 4 in blast. So what can you do?
Look, about I saved that automatically.
That Skulk About has been really good.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay,
Cool.
and that's the end of my activation.
Oh, I should have said this earlier. In this matchup, my money is on the Commandos. Always. It's always on the Commandos. I think they are the stronger team. But I also think that they are the easier to play team. I think they're just a really solid team in general. Whereas I think that the Vet Guard are a little bit they require a little bit more nuance. And I don't know their skill levels, so I don't know. But I would assume that Patrick, the poor guy, is under a lot of stress to learn every single game system to be able to present them. So to become a tactical master in one over the other, hard to do. So I'm guessing Commandos win.
Gonna duff up your hardened veteran.
My poor hard.
Oh, cool. So he's just charged in to attack the hardened veteran again. Now, because he charged, he gets the first attack, and the hardened veteran is only on 1 wound left. So what should happen is he hits him with a normal or a crit, whatever. And then there's always been a little question in order of operations. You see, in the last one, they worked in the last combat charge into the hardened veteran with the Feel No Pain. They worked everything out, and then at the end, they rolled their dice. In this one, because he can die to a single hit, it gets a little bit finicky. So obviously, because he's only got 1 hit point left, the way it's going to work is the first attack, he's going to then die. The Feel No Pains aren't going to save him. But let's say the Orc's charging in and doing 4 damage, and he has 4 health left or 3 health left. You end up having to roll your Feel No Pains after every strike. And I believe that is the correct way of doing it, because that's the only way of doing it, because you need to know when your model is incapacitated. I don't know if you're technically supposed to be rolling those Feel No Pains every time anyway, or if actually it fundamentally doesn't make a difference until the incapacitated would occur, so it doesn't matter. I think that's the case. I'm just being weird.
Veteran. That commando has taken just 3 damage and is still alive with 1 wound.
Okay, so super interesting. They've just done like 4 turns in a row, slow, getting the player's voice and like real-time actions. And then for this 5th activation, they've just done a voiceover. I'm just wondering why. I don't know. Seem like I don't think that I actually like the voiceover thing. I don't know why. I guess because I'm not looking for that, as the Honest Wargamer calls it, the friend simulator online. So like I don't need to see their faces as they say these things. Just interesting to see. It's possible that what happened, thinking about it, is as we know they had the game designer on set, so it's possible that he kind of moved up and tried to take a shot, and the game designers had to, and like didn't know how line of sight worked. And the games, because for example, we see that the guy he just shot is on a conceal order. Perhaps Patrick thought, oh, he's on a conceal, so I can't shoot or whatever. And the game designer had to point out, no, and like they had to actually have a behind the scenes style conversation to see what he was allowed to do. So they just cut it and just did the top down camera with the voiceover. As you can tell, I'm watching this to see the content creation side of it, as opposed to the battle report.
Keen to make sure this orc survives, I activated him next and limped behind the scrap pile in front of him.
Okay, so next I'm going to shoot the grenade launcher into this boy.
Okay, so he just then said that he was going to move his commando that's on like one wound left so that he survives. It would have been really nice to have them just quickly explain why he did that, why he could be shot before, and why he now can't be shot. But they didn't do that, so okay. Because he was outside of 1 inch of terrain and now he's inside 1 inch of terrain, that's the answer. But like, it's 5 seconds added on to the sentence that allows them to go from a couple of guys playing a game to a couple of guys playing a game and teaching you the game.
Here.
Yep. Okay, so my defense is normally 3.
Yep.
AP1 means I've only got 2 defense dice now.
Yep.
I will convert one of those into.
Okay, so just there, the way Nick naturally is speaking, he's doing what a lot of content creators and also just a lot of people, the way they play, this is how I play, just like naturally in a game. I narrate everything I'm doing. There's a term for it, I can't remember it, but like, so he's explaining how normally he has 3 saves, but because you have AP1, I now only roll 2 dice. That is exactly how I play the game. I'm not trying to teach my opponent. That's just how I play. So that if I'm saying something wrong, my opponent can stop me and say, no, that's not how it's played. And we can have a discussion before dice are rolled, before mistakes are made. And so I suspect this isn't even him being a presenter. This is just how he plays games, I would imagine. And so that's good. I like that he's doing this live now, whereas in the voiceover, as I mentioned previously, they didn't do just a little 5 seconds of line of sight discussion. But now he's explaining why he's rolling what he's rolling, which I actually like.
To a normal. He's exploded all over his friends.
I killed one!
So he just used the commando knob +1 APL, get it done, and he gave it to the burner boy. Now, interestingly, you'd think this would be a really big deal, and I suspect it will become more of a deal once we're out of compendium. There are tokens in the set which are +1 and -1 APL, so he obviously should have put a +1 APL token next to the burner boy there, but he didn't. I'm saying that purely because it's something that I forget as well. And it's something that I don't have to do much of yet because I don't play the actual I play the compendium teams, not the real teams, because I'm still learning. Again, content creation side, the way they're editing it together, I think what they're doing, so what they did on Patrick's turn there was they skipped his move completely. They didn't even show it. So it's not like they fast forwarded through it. They didn't show a little graphic. It was just they skipped it. And they said, now he's going to shoot. And they showed the shoot. I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't seem consistent yet. At first I thought, oh, they're trying to jump to the action. Okay, that makes sense. But now they're showing Nick moving.
Troopers here.
Okay, again, another side content creator note. I find it amusing when they... So basically, every time they cut to something else, I imagine there's been a break in the action for them, and they've had to go and discuss something, or they've had to do something. Not always the case, but just then they had a little jump away from the players and away from the top down. They jumped to a small like narrative angle, like a close up of the models. I suspect something went wrong. They had to have a discussion. That's like a common editing trick. There you go. Play the sound from the next clip you're about to show over the top of a different clip, and it looks seamless, but there's probably been a long gap there. Or let's talk about Kill Team. I don't know.
And they
So that costs him 1 action point to move all.
Cool. So a couple of things to note there. Firstly, it seems that Patrick's rolling really badly when it matters. Also, Commando Grot. It says that you have to finish within black of a point that you can see. I'm not sure. Like, yes, this was legal, obviously, but it is a little bit awkward with some terrain features. So you can see to the lip of a vantage point that has cover to it, and that cover is generally going to be roughly an inch, sometimes higher than an inch above the floor of the vantage point. So, like, if you want to be really finicky on some pieces of terrain, you wouldn't like you have to finish within black of that in a sphere of that black. It's not, infinite height. You can't go, you can't see the top of a tower and then finish on the floor. You have to finish within black of that point. I believe on the Octarius terrain you can do that, but for example, in upcoming Chaunath terrain, I don't think that's going to be possible all the time. Luckily, there's lots of windows, so I'm sure there will be plenty of times where it will be possible. But yeah.
All the way over there.
So just saying, this is quite a nice little scorecard. Yeah, there you go. It's just, it's good. It's a nice little bit of production quality. That's all I'm saying. I also like that they're doing, again, very standard in battle reports. They're doing the whole player interview things. I think if I were to critique it a little bit, they could have sped the turn up just a tiny bit. But I only say that because I know that it's an hour long. They could have a little bit faster. Or maybe because it's only an hour and 1 minute, maybe they deliberately padded it to be over an hour to give people something to watch and make them feel like it's big content. I'm just gonna say it, guys. Like, I would rather they release like 10 videos that are all 20 minutes, half an hour. That'd be way better. But whatever. They know their demographic way better than I do. So they just rolled initiative for turn two, and Patrick had the choice of whether to go first or second. Is this an open play thing? Isn't it just you have to go first if you win? I just want to pause it on overcharged lasguns quickly. If you're on a mobile, you won't be able to see this anyway, but whatever. Yeah, Patrick's in a really bad position for turn two. If Nick can get any shot, like can get some line of sight, Patrick has like no defense. He's just like played a defense thing, and now he's doing overcharged lasguns. So he's done both a defense and an offense ploy in the same turn. Fair enough. He needs it. He needs to do something. I like overcharged lasguns. I think it's super fluffy and cool. Interesting tactic there. He decided to move the sniper closer to the commando grot so that the commando grot couldn't blow it up, the tac op. But he chose to not actually attack the commando grot. He didn't either charge it or shoot it. But then he also didn't shoot anything else with the sniper. But this must be a case of they cut something. Because why wouldn't you? Because he has a target. He has a target very clearly, but he chose not to. Seems odd. But that seems like something that you shouldn't cut, right? That seems like you should at least pay lip service to the fact that you tried to shoot but missed everything. That's fine if nothing happens. But yeah, peculiar.
Here he goes.
So this is going to come into play when Torrent gets mentioned. I need to go and read how Blast works, but it looked. I mean, it's always hard to see when you can't measure things yourself. But it looked like he would have gotten cover from that angle, but he didn't for some reason. Unless does Blast have something where you don't get cover? Does that have a you do not get cover rule, no cover rule? I don't think it does. But maybe it does, my gosh. Hopefully, I've found this part of the recording and I've put some text saying whether or not I'm right on that one.
Next, this is and the first thing he's going to do.
So a bit of an odd one there. He shot the guided missile at the burner boy, and the burner boy was in cover, so he was concealed and in cover. But because the sniper was on a vantage point, he could still get line of sight. But he didn't actually take a cover bonus, so he didn't automatically save one of his dice, which even when you want to fish for crits and so roll all of your dice, when you only have a 5-up save, you still want to retain one dice. Like, okay, cool. I mean, it worked out well for him, but this game's looking pretty dicey. So he just healed with the medic onto, I think, the plasma gunner, which took the plasma gunner from 2 wounds up to 6, which is not interesting, wrong word, which is useful for 2 reasons. Firstly, it means the plasma gunner, that normally has a total of 7 wounds, is now above being injured, so he's hitting on his normal ballistic skill with no penalties. But also, if it comes to a close combat issue, he can survive more than 1 hit, which means that he will be able to make a hit back and potentially survive. So, a very worthwhile Medicaid usage. They got really excited that the stun effect rule was going to take do anything, but didn't. He just killed the model. Nick needs new dice. He's rolling too hot.
As well.
Too hot.
Would have killed. Still an inch away from your.
Okay, so they just very carefully, like they placed down another combat gauge so that they made sure that he didn't get to within 1 inch of, remained outside of engagement range as he did his normal move. They said, right, and then I'm going to dash. And so they took the combat gauge away and very clearly just went through engagement range. It's like, fine. I also noticed that Nick cut a corner when he was going around the heavy terrain earlier. I don't want to be too pedantic, but
Bruiser.
rules are rules.
Now I'm going to flame on. So that's normal move, dash, and shoot. So I'm going to get to shoot both your medic and your plasma gunner with the heavy.
Okay, so this is the burner firing, and I'm calling this out because it's interesting. So the burner has the torrent rule, like a standard flamer. He's within range of 2 models. One of them is just in the open on an engage order, no problem. The other one is on a conceal order within 1 inch of the operative in front of him. So the reason this is interesting is that I suppose people hadn't really kind of passed it through their head that the way Torrent works is in this particular situation, because one of the models is getting cover from the model in front, he has to kill and remove the first model, because when he then makes the subsequent Torrent attacks, the model that you are making the models that you are going to make them on still have to be legal models for you to take to fire on, which means they still need to be in your line of sight. Currently, that model is not in his line of sight, so he has to kill the first model to make the second model legal to shoot. This feels a bit meh for flamers, and I think flamers suck. I think flamers should have the indirect rule. I think that would make flamers good, and I think it would give flamers a place. Now, just think about it, that might change what the designers believe flamers should do, or it might, and so suddenly they're working in a different way, and maybe they don't want them to work in that way because, blah, blah, blah. And maybe that imbalances them because suddenly you'll be able to have teams that can take double flamers into, let's say, gene stealers, and suddenly that completely nerfs gene stealers. But gene stealers can charge from outside of their range, so I don't know, it's like, I haven't thought through all of the repercussions to that, but I think that flamers should have indirect, certainly for cases like this, because not being able to flame the guy behind them seems a bit meh thematically. There you go. I also wouldn't be opposed to them getting the no cover rule, but that would potentially kind of I mean, to give them both of those at the same time would be relatively heavy-handed. You kind of want to go one or the other first, and I think that thematically you'd go indirect first. Mechanically, should you go indirect on a flamer? Yes. I guess I have to say yes because I said that as a possibility, didn't I?
No, I need to think about this, don't I?
Oh, okay. So they finished the action, and then because the person, the operative behind the plasma gunner was a medic, when the plasma gunner died, the medic managed to use his medic ability, which revived him. But then they didn't explain the torrent rule because Nick had begun by saying, "Oh, I'll be able to flame them both," but then he doesn't, and they just move on. Again, would have been really nice for them to just give that. It's a 5-10 second explanation that needs to happen, let's say 10 times throughout the entire thing. So if they just add 2 minutes onto this video, it suddenly becomes a way of learning the game as well as just watching two people play the game, which personally I don't have a huge interest in just watching two people play a game. It's fine, like they're doing a good job, sure, but like I would have much preferred to see them explain a few things. That's just my own personal interest and bias there.
I need to. That is epic. He's on fire. He overcharges his plasma gun and obliterates him.
I love that. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Okay, over to my activation. I'm pretty upset about that, not gonna lie.
Yeah, so obviously Patrick rolled really hot there with the plasma gun. Well, sorry, rolled really well, and in fact did not roll hot because obviously the plasma gun has the hot special rule there. But man, AP2 so good, so good, and that just kind of proves it. Oh, sorry, just to clarify, because in that situation, it didn't matter if that was a grot or a custodes, they were taking 10 damage because of the way that works. So, super cool.
Shot at the closest guardsman, doing 3 damage.
Just on a small side note there, as I said that out loud, really odd that a grot and a custode can take the same amount of damage from the same shot, now that I think about it. But yeah. I mean, you just have to get used to thinking about things in a slightly different way when it comes to this game system compared to 40k. And this is a better game system, so think about it this way. Yeah. Just an amusing note, Patrick is still using 40k terms, so he's saying minus 1 AP, but that's a 40k thing. We would just say 1 AP because like AP, when you say minus 1 AP in 40k, is of course mean minus 1 armor to your armor saving throw. That's not how it works in Killteam.
So I just need to roll a cheeky 6.
Should be fine, right?
No problems, just like that.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
So again, there, I like that they had Nick actually talk through the entire rolling sequence, which again, I assume that's actually just how he plays the game. I don't think he's doing that as a presenter. I think that's just how he plays. But damn, he's being really jammy on those rolls. Commanders are definitely going to win, surely.
That's the worst roll you could have made.
I had to rewatch that same bit like 3 or 4 times to see if I had just zoned out. I think he just started playing 40k rules. He said that he got +1 to his armor save because he was in cover. I'm thinking, wait, what? And then he was allowed to reroll ones. I assume there's a ploy that does that, but it doesn't make a difference. But just what he was saying there was just, I think, completely wrong. Which is, again, poor Patrick having to learn all these different systems. But yeah, that's not how the game works.
So he is obliterated.
Just thought of it, another small production thing they should have done. They should have had the two players using different colored dice. Because, yeah, there you go.
So he's going to charge into this trooper.
Okay, so just very quickly, they went over all their stuff. Cool. He just used, again, the commando +1 APL to someone, and he used it on himself, which before was a bit questionable about whether or not that actually worked. But because of the FAQ, we now know that does work, and obviously it worked here, so all good. So this is the fight. So what happened is he charged with his Orc Knob, and he rolled like 2 hits and a miss. Patrick then rolled his and did same 2 hits and a miss. Then Nick has decided to CP reroll. Can you do that? Yes, you can, because you're supposed to roll them at the same time. You get to see what your opponent has rolled before you decide to do any rerolls or something. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. It was just the way they filmed it. It was like, I have rolled, now you have rolled. That's how you do it in shooting. So the shooter, in this instance, it would be Nick, doesn't get to CP reroll after the opponent has rolled their defense dice. It was just filmed a little bit awkwardly, but yes, it was legal, it just seemed odd. It's all good. Okay, so the stun ability there actually came into play, finally. Amazing. And also the bruiser apparently just ignores the first time he takes damage in a combat. Damn. Well, I'll take that every time. Okay. As you can tell, I don't know the vet card rules. Very cool.
He just run into you with a power claw and you've done
Yeah.
him 3 damage.
So I must have missed it, right? Like I must have missed it, but I don't think the bruiser died, but he's not on the board anymore. Did I just miss that? He must have like fallen back, I guess, and I missed it. But fair enough. Yeah, okay. Otherwise, yeah, okay. So Turning Point 3, I think Turning Point 3 they've really gotten into the flow of the game now, both the players and the editing, and they're just playing the game. Hence why I haven't said much for Turning Point 3. This is the game now. I'm just waiting to see if there's any more interesting rules interactions in the last 10 minutes. Otherwise, I'll give my final verdict on whether or not this is worthwhile watching yourself at the end.
So a fantastic victory for the Orcs in that one.
Yeah, man, I feel quite lucky. I think throughout the game.
Skillful.
Well,
Skillful.
You said it, not me. Well, thanks very much indeed for watching, guys. We'll see you next time on Battle Report.
Okay, and so that was Kill Team Battle Report. Obviously, they're using good cameras. It was well edited. They had some good effects in there. They had some good scoring cards. Like, as a battle report to watch, it was fine. It was good. Is it worth money considering you can get all of this on YouTube? It's up to you to decide. I have Warhammer Plus anyway because I actually really like the Warhammer app for list building. So I just had that and it's like, yeah, all right, fine. But this isn't meant to be a review of Warhammer Plus. I don't care about that. This is meant to be a review of the Kill Team video. It was good. I would like to see more things come out. I'm assuming that they're going to give us one every quarter along with the new box, which is a real shame if that's all they do. The battle reports clearly are not a big focus for them. There's not that many on there. There's only the one kill team, and there's only like 1 or 2 of the others, I think. Odd that they're not pushing it more because like they obviously have in-house editors that are full-time employees. They could be pushing them as like we are churning out battle reports. They are of that. If all of their battle reports were of that quality, I mean that's very very close to play on tabletop. If not, I mean let's say it's the same as play on tabletop. I don't know why they're not doing that. They could easily push those out and make their battle reports be an actual full on, you should get Warhammer Plus because of this. In regards to Kill Team itself, it was fine. I wish they had done just a little bit more, 1 or 2 more pieces of teaching the game. and I hope that they do more than just Octarius, Chalnath, and then whatever comes next, right? I mean, we have out now Admech and Thousand Suns. I think they should at least do not just the big box release, but also the White Dwarf releases. So now they've done Krieg and Commandos, Vet Guard and Commandos. They should now do Hunter Clades and Warp Coven. And then, of course, they should do System Novitiates, whatever they're called, and Tau Pathfinders, whatever they're called. I think that should be the bare minimum. They should cover every faction in the Kill Team battle reports. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my commentary. I don't know how I've edited this together. Obviously, I've tried to show as little as possible of the actual battle report itself because that's going to get me, if I'm lucky, just demonetized, but possibly an actual like full-on copyright strike, in which case that's like really bad for my channel. So we'll see. So maybe this hasn't been a particularly good viewing experience for you. I apologize. So many people had talked about this video. I felt that I had to sit down and watch it, and what better way to do that than to tell you guys what I thought of it. And of course, I always focus on the rules over the fluff because I'm still at the point where I'm learning the rules myself. I haven't really mastered them, so I can't yet move on to the fluff until I know the rules mechanics. Anyway, this has been Glass Half Dead. I hope you've enjoyed watching this Kill Team Warhammer Plus battle report. Anyway, I hope you've had a good day. Continue to have a good day. Goodbye.